It's the Sam and Sadie Show, starring Jack Clark and Juliet Hingley as Sam and Sadie.
Oh, hello, folks. Sorry I can't talk too long today. My tax man, Ralph Tuttle, is on the way. He should be here any minute now. You see, tomorrow is April 15th, and our taxes are due, postmarked in the mail. Ralph has been reviewing mine and Sadie's taxes for the last 5 years now. It's a lot harder job than it sounds, though. You see, the reason we have to have our taxes reviewed before we send them off is because Sadie likes to file her taxes separately than mine. Reason being is she likes to deduct everything she purchases as an expense. Of course, these are kind of hard to explain to Uncle Sam, especially when one doesn't have a job. So Ralph has the difficult task of going over her forms and making sure everything's in order before we send it off. Of course, he has to check out all the frivolous items that she's put down. You know, I know Ralph appreciates the business, but he just hasn't figured out how to handle Sadie's crazy, antic-filled personality. Then again, who am I to talk? Over the years, I haven't figured her out either. That must be Ralph now. Ralph, come on in.
Hello, Sam.
Mr. Tuttle, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you for asking, Sam.
Sadie, Ralph is here to check out our taxes.
Oh, hello, Mr. Tuttle. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Mrs. Bonds. Thank you for asking.
Sam told me you were coming today, and just like last year, I did some pre-figuring out of our income, expenses, and deductions for our refund. I left it on the desk in the office. According to my calculations, the government owes us $90,000.
Mrs. Bonds, how on earth did you get that figure?
Oh, well, I avoid starchy foods and get plenty of exercise.
Sadie, why don't we let Mr. Tuttle here do his job and check out your forms, make sure you didn't miss anything. In the meantime, be a dear and go make us a pot of coffee, please.
Oh, sure, dear. I'll be right back, Mr. Tuttle.
Thank you, Sadie. Oh, thank you, Sam. Oh, man, I'm going to go into your office and start with the tax preparation forms, but please, don't let her come and help me again this year like last year. Remember I had to go down to the bank last year? She came with me to get some papers notarized. Oh, and the man down at the bank asked her to identify herself. She opened up her purse, took out her compact, looked in the mirror and said, "Oh yes, it's me all right."
I remember that. Sorry again, Ralph. Listen, don't you worry about Sadie. I'll take care of her. I'll keep her busy. She'll stay out of your way. In the meantime, just go on in the office there and get to work and make sure we didn't miss anything and make sure everything's in order before we mail it off tomorrow. And if you need anything whatsoever, any questions, anything at all, you just come on out and ask.
Okay, we'll do.
All right.
Thanks, Sam. Oh.
Sam, dear, where did Mr. Tuttle go?
He stepped in the office already. He's looking over the forms.
Oh, I have his coffee right here. I should probably bring it to him.
No, Sadie, just leave it here. He can get it later. You just let the man work in peace.
All right, dear. Sam, do you think our tax bill will be very high this year?
Probably. They increase it every year, but luckily we qualify under the community property law.
Community property? What's that?
Well, it's a law for married folks like us. It states basically that everything you have is half mine and everything I have is half yours.
Well, then how come you only give me 1/4 of what you make?
Well, that's how the law works. Here, let me show you. So I got 4 quarters here, right? Mm-hmm. And it's $1 and change, and so half of everything I have is yours, so here's 50 cents.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, here's how the law works. How much do you have there?
50 cents.
Good. And if half of everything you have is mine, then I get 1/4.
Oh, it all makes sense now. How silly of me.
Yes, how silly of you.
Well, I don't know why the government asked for so much of our money anyway. In fact, yesterday I heard on the radio that the government has over $1 billion in deficit. I mean, really, couldn't they use some of that?
Sadie, a deficit means they're negative.
Oh, well, that's rather odd. You'd think someone with over $1 billion would have a more positive outlook on life.
Sorry, excuse me. Didn't mean to interrupt. I'm having some problems wrapping my head around some of the deductions that Mrs. Bonds is trying to claim. Mrs. Bonds, not everything can be a deduction. You can only deduct certain things based off of what it is for.
Oh, like what?
For example, in some circumstances, you can take off your living expenses, your transportation, your entertainment. Heck, you can take off your clothes.
Why, Mr. Tuttle, I'm a married woman. I only take off my clothes for my husband.
Sam, do you have any aspirin? I think I have a headache coming on.
Gee, Mr. Tuttle, I'm real sorry. We're all out, but listen, I don't mind. I'll run down to the store. I'll pick you up a bottle.
No, it's okay. I'll just suffer through it. You know, Albert Einstein once said the hardest thing in the world to understand is the income tax.
Well, I don't know. I've always thought the hardest thing in the world to understand is the primitive culture worship of archaic temples by the Pygmy tribe in ancient Inca culture. Personally, I just don't get it.
I'm just going to go back to doing your taxes. And you know what, Sam? If you don't mind going down to the drugstore and getting me the aspirin, I'll take it. Just make sure you get the extra strength. I don't know how many more years of this I can take. Oh, my aching head.
Poor Mr. Tuttle. He should really take some time off of work, like a vacation. Or better yet, he should find himself an assistant. Year after year, he just looks worse and worse. And you know, he does it all alone. You know what? Maybe I could find somebody to help him, and then...
Sadie, listen, Mr. Tuttle is fine. He doesn't need any help. He doesn't need an assistant. He doesn't need any help from you.
But poor Mr. Tuttle, he's obviously not well and needs some rest. Every year after doing this tax stuff, it seems to take more and more of a toll on him. No, maybe we should find somebody else to review our taxes this year.
Sadie, tax day is tomorrow. Every accountant in the city is booked solid. There's no one out there that can help us. Listen, Mr. Tuttle is fine. He doesn't need any help. He doesn't need any rest. Granted, he's a little overworked and probably a lot overstressed, but he's fine.
But Sam...
Now listen, I'm going to head down to the store and get a bottle of aspirin for Mr. Tuttle. You let him work in peace, leave him alone, and just give him some peace and quiet. You understand?
Yes, dear.
Okay, I'll be back in no time.
Poor Mr. Tuttle. I hope he's okay. If only I could do something to help him. I wonder who that could be.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Benjamin Wilson, and I am the chairman of the Kapsilon Pi Alpha Society here in town where I attend the university as well. I am doing my part in raising awareness that tomorrow is April 15th, and all tax forms are due in the mail.
Well, that's very kind of you, Benjamin. But I didn't catch who you were with. What's the name of your organization?
The Kapsilon Pi Alphas, or as people refer to us on campus, the C.P.As.
You're a C.P.A.?
Yes, ma'am. I am the chairman of my local branch chapter.
A C.P.A. and the chairman of your local branch. Oh, that's just fantastic.
Thank you, ma'am, for your unbridled excitement at my elected position.
Oh, young man, can you do me a favor?
Yes, certainly. As a C.P.A., I am a pillar of this fabulous community. How might I be of aid and support you today?
Well, like you said, tomorrow is tax day, and your timing coming here couldn't have been any better. You see, my taxman is in the other room going over our taxes. And, well, he's overworked and stressed out, and he's made himself sick, but he still refuses to take any time off.
Dedication to one's profession can sometimes be a terrible burden.
Yes, exactly.
So, how might I alleviate you of this situation which perplexes you so?
I was hoping that, perhaps, you can do our taxes instead. That way it'll give Mr. Tuttle, our taxman, some much-needed time off. You really wouldn't have to do much. You would just have to sign off on a few deductions that I'm claiming.
While I appreciate the honor you would bestow upon me by having me lend my John Hancock to your 1040 and/or W-2 form, I fear that I am not properly qualified to write off your deductions. Furthermore, I do not know what your occupation is, or what your gross annual income is.
Well, I'm just a housewife. I don't make any money at all.
Well, that certainly simplifies matters. If that is the case, then your deductions must be inconsequential.
No, yes, they are. I make sure that I write them all down in alphabetical order. So, will you help me?
While I would love to lend you my personal knowledge on the subject, I fear that my expertise in the area is limited to college freshman electives, Mathematics Logic 105, and Accounting 101.
Well, that's strange. Being a C.P.A. that you only took 2 courses in your studies. You'd think being an accounting major that you would have to take more classes than just those 2.
Actually, ma'am, I am majoring in the field of mortuary sciences, loosely translated from the Greek polyandrium, the definition of the study of death.
Oh, death and taxes. I heard those 2 go together. I just didn't think they would teach those 2 courses in the same curriculum. So, before I give you the tax forms, we're going to need to get them away from Mr. Tuttle.
How do you propose we accomplish this?
Well, he's already feeling sick, and he still refuses to give himself any time off. We just need to make him feel sicker than he really is. And I have a plan on just how to do that. Let me tell you, come here.
Mrs. Bonds, I appreciate the coffee and the forced work break, but I've got to get back to your tax forms. I've got 2 more appointments after you yet today. I got to go.
Oh, just a few more sips, Mr. Tuttle, then you can go back to work.
I can't drink anymore. I've already had 2 cups in the last 5 minutes. It's too much.
Yes, come in. Oh, how can I help you?
Hello, ma'am. My name is Benjamin Wilson, and I represent DAW, the Department of Unalert Humans. And I am here to inform you about a recent string of unusual deaths due to insomnia and fatigue in the neighborhood. Tell me, have you or your husband been having bad sleep in the past few days?
No, sir. We've been sleeping just fine.
I see. Still, I should take a closer look.
Oh!
From this viewpoint, you seem fine, madam. But your husband here, it seems as if he's about to collapse from exasperation.
Oh, well, he isn't my husband. He's my taxman. He's here to review our tax form so we can turn it in before tomorrow.
Oh, that is absolutely horrible news.
Why is that horrible news?
Because, sir, I can see, even from here, that you are infected. But do not worry. It is not his fault. The stress due to tax season can be very damaging to one's sleep patterns, and tax advisors are those who are most at risk.
But I feel fine.
Please, sir, I am a professional, and I know a dead man walking when I see him. Tell me, when is the last time you have slept?
Last night?
Then it may already be too late. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to go home now. Get some rest. Close the shades. Put out the cat. Turn off the icebox. Sleep. Dream if you can. And I shall keep positive thoughts of you awakening from what may be your eternal slumber.
Ralph, now that he mentions it, you don't look so good. And didn't you say earlier that you weren't feeling well? That's probably why you're drinking all that coffee, so you can stay awake.
I was drinking all of the coffee because you kept refilling my cup even after I asked you to stop.
Illusions of grandeur! Another symptom of this deplorable affliction.
No, I'm not sick. I'm not sick.
Irritability! Yet another symptom.
Maybe you should go home, Ralph.
I concur. I have already had 2 accountants die on my watch, and I will be darned if I have a third.
Two accountants died?
Stress on the job. You should know better than anyone what is involved in this as a tax man. Am I correct?
Now that you mention it, I am a little groggy. Maybe it would be best if I go home. Mrs. Bonds, if it's not too much trouble, I think I'd like to call it a day. I'm about 80% done with your taxes, and I'm sure the other 20% we can just let slide. I think I should go.
Oh, certainly, Ralph. Don't you worry about Sam and I. We'll be just fine. You should go home and get yourself some rest.
Okay, I'll just leave my bill here for you and your husband. You can pay me later. Thank you, Mrs. Bonds. Oh, thank you, Mr. Wilson.
You're welcome.
Oh, my aching head.
Very well done.
Sadie, I'm home.
Oh, hello, dear. Back from the store, I see.
Yeah. Funny thing, too, is I ran into Mr. Tuttle on the way back.
You did?
Yeah.
What did he have to say?
Poor guy. He said he took a turn for the worse and had to get home and get right into bed. Maybe you were right. Maybe he does need an assistant.
Well, I'm going to stay out of that one. You know, like you said, it's none of my business.
Well, glad you're starting to finally listen to me. Still, I think we can do our fair share to help him out. Alleviate his workload a little bit, you know? Maybe next year we can do a joint tax return instead of filing separately. That way he only has to look over one set of papers instead of 2.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, honey bunny. You know, by the way, before he left, Mr. Tuttle left the bill for us. He said that we can pay him the next time we see him.
Sure. How much do we owe?
$20 each.
All right. I have that right here. Here's my 20.
And here's my 10.
10? I thought you said $20 each.
Exactly. That's why I'm giving you 10.
This doesn't make any sense, Sadie.
Well, don't tell me you already forgot what you taught me today about community property.
What does the community property law have to do with the $10 that you just gave me? You owe me 20.
Well, like you said, half of everything that you own is mine, and half of everything that I own is yours. So if the total bill is $40, 20 owed from me, 20 from you, and you already paid $20, again, half of which belongs to me, and $10 in which you already paid is really from me. So the other half, $20, which is my full entire bill, you would own half of that. So then I would pay $10 and you would owe the other 10.
Oh, I'm glad Mr. Tuttle left early.
Why is that?
So now I can take that bottle of aspirin. Oh, my head.